Zach Elliott at Feel Free to Argue, and I want to do a response to this video that you put out, Sherry, because I don't know, there's just something about it that captured my imagination. Not in any kind of positive way, of course. It's not pleasant to think about the total disintegration of society. And that honestly is what you're talking about, what it represents to me. Because I think if it ever gets to the point where soldiers are knocking on my door, then I think you could pretty much kiss society goodbye. Because at that point we've totally disintegrated. I mean, maybe you think we're close to that. I actually don't think so. Let me back up a little bit. Because, I mean, I think it's fair to ask, I mean, what are those FEMA camps for if they're not for locking us all up? And I think what it gets down to is that as many people as can be housed at those FEMA camps, and even if you think people are going to be exterminated at them, I mean, I think you're talking about a fairly small proportion of the U.S. population that can actually be controlled before, I guess, the nation completely disintegrated into, you know, us versus them kind of civil war. Because I don't think that people are just going to stand for being dragged out of their homes. Especially if they feel like they have something in common with the people who are being dragged off. So, what are they there for? If they're not really there for that purpose, well, I think they're there to frighten people in the kind of investigative community. The people who actually, you know, run down facts like, you know, you and me, and it's sort of like a firewall that they've built in there, where, you know, as you do your research, you know, if you're at all serious about, you know, finding out what our government's up to, you're going to run across these FEMA camps, and you're going to see pictures of them on YouTube, descriptions of them on MySpace, etc. Wherever you want to do your research, you know, they're going to turn up. And I think they're there simply to let us know about them. I think it's an intimidation tactic. It's something that's there to chill people out, to make people stop researching. Hey, my initial reaction when I ran into that stuff was, this is too far. I've gone a bridge too far. I don't, there's a part of me that just absolutely didn't even want to believe that these places exist, but I think they do exist. Which begs the question of their purpose. Because, I mean, I don't really think that they have the forces necessary to suppress this country. I don't think they have it. I think we're stretched too thin. I think we basically have to pull back all of our resources from all around the world in order to actively suppress the population of this country. If it was really, you know, getting to like Civil War time or Revolution time, either one. Don't know if there'd be a whole lot of difference, actually, the way things would hash out. But there's a couple of questions with, like, you know, complete disintegration. I don't think that, I just don't think that the whole country can be suppressed. I think it's more subtle than that. Like I've said in a couple of videos, I mean, I think it's all about seeing how many glass beads you'll trade for your freedom. It's not about actively taking away your freedom. I mean, they don't do that with guns. They do that in committee meetings that nobody ever hears about. They do it with executive orders. They do it in 1,000 different ways that have nothing to do with a soldier coming to a gun. I mean, I think that's actually just too obvious. That's what they want you to be afraid of. Because, I mean, I think that's a straw man. I think that's a straw man where they're trying to intimidate you and make you afraid and think that you're going to lose your freedom, when economically and on a bunch of other levels, I just don't think that's feasible. it's a distraction. It's a distraction from what you should be concerned about, which is like the kind of administrative theft of your entire existence. That's what they're after. They're after you waking up someday and not owning anything in your life, and you basically being an indentured servant, where you're working your whole life to pay the man, and you never feel comfortable or safe enough to protest anything, to make a noise about anything, about how unfair your treatment is, because you're too afraid of losing the few things that you have. So it's all about buying your silence. It's all about getting you to peacefully allow your rights to be taken away. And I think that to more succinctly answer your question about what I would do, I think I would be like most people. I don't think I would do anything. I think those soldiers would take me and my family away. We'd go to a camp and we'd either be put to work or gassed or whatever. I'd be a victim. Because, I'm 45 years old, and I like to be kind of realistic about who I am as a person. And, who I am is not fucking Rambo. I'm not going to pull out a pistol and, cap a bunch of soldiers and, take to the hills with my family and, set up some kind of Swiss Family Robinson house with, defenses in the middle of the wilderness, so that I could take down, a whole bunch of U.S. Marshals when they finally come for me in the big final scene of the movie. That's just not going to happen. I'm a normal, overweight, 45-year-old guy who's never fired a gun really in his life. Not a handgun. I've fired a couple of rifles, but, my whole life has basically been about deciding that I am against violence in every way, shape, form, and fashion. I don't engage in it anymore. I'm even having more and more trouble watching it just for fun. In the way that our society continuously trivializes violence. But I think if we get to the point where soldiers are kicking down doors and dragging people away, then honestly I think it's too late. I think it's too late for all of us. It's too late for everything. Because we're not going to recover from something like that. That means that our society is totally going to disintegrate. And that it's just going to be rebels hiding out in the hills. And that's going to be it for America in the future. And if that happens, then I think we're on a whole new playbook. A whole new way of looking at the world. And none of the operating assumptions I have about how the country works and how the world works are in effect anymore at that point. So, to be honest with you, I'm just going to be a victim. I'm going to be a victim if that happens. Me, my family, are going to be carted away, and the government's going to do whatever they want to do with us. And I think that's the way most people are going to be. Because most people don't have any idea that this could happen. And I imagine there are a lot of people like me that even if it does happen, if that's what happens, that we don't really have a plan. Because it's really the end of the world as we know it. And plans, I think, at that point are kind of irrelevant. What are you living for? So that you can hide out like Saddam Hussein, so you can cower in a ditch? Better to have a clean death. There you go. That's my 2 cents on your question.